We begin from Addis Ababa, where the stage is set for the 38th African Union Summit, at which President Bola Tinubu is equally set to participate for the second time. We'll join State House correspondent Musbau Dan-Wahab for the agenda of the summit.
Yes, it's another decisive moment for African heads of states and governments, with two major agendas before them to decide on this 38th summit coming up tomorrow. And the first one is the launching of the theme of the year, which was decided on in 2023, and that is justice for Africans and people of African descent through reparation. The leaders are looking at some injustices and inequality done to the continent, not just from the days of colonialism, but also in the present day global order or global dynamics. And they are looking at how to reposition the union towards getting justice for people that deserve them. We spoke to Nigerian Minister of Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Yusuf Tuga, earlier on this, and he gave us some insight into the theme for the year.
Well, it's necessary at this time because I'm sure you're aware of the agitation for the restructuring of the global financial system, and then also for a reform of the global political system as it pertains to the United Nations, and in particular the United Nations Security Council. So the theme speaks to the building of a united front to advance the cause of Africa. You have to look at the format, the suggestions being put forward. It's not just looking back at slavery and colonialism and then, making excuses. No, we're saying that we look at what happened in the past and use it to advance the future.
The second major issue before the leaders will be the elections of new sets of leaders for the African Union Commission. We have the position of chairperson, which has been zoned to the eastern part of the country, or of the continent rather, and three candidates are contesting for that position. Number one is Mohammed Ali Yusuf, a 70-year-old candidates coming from Djibouti. Is being the Minister of Foreign Affairs for that country and also spokesperson for the government. And secondly, he's the former Prime Minister of Kenya, Raila Amolo Odinga, who was contested for the position of president of that country a record 5 times without succeeding though, and is contesting for this position is 80-year-old by the way. And the third candidate is Richard Randria Mandrato from Madagascar, is 66-year-old by the way, and he's been a minister in different capacity in Madagascar in the past, Minister of Foreign Affairs, Minister of Economy and Finance. So 3 of them are contesting for that position. And for the commissioners in that commission, we have Ambassador Bankole Adeoye, a Nigerian who is returning for the second term as the Commissioner for Political Affairs, Peace and Security for the AU Commission. And also a delegation of Nigeria also represented the country at a conversation looking at the possibility of setting up African rating agency to drive investments and development on the continent. Minister of Foreign Affairs and Coordinating Minister of Economy and Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, represented Nigeria at that event. Let's take a listen to the Minister of Information on the imperative of this agency.
Hitherto, access to capital, it becomes very difficult for people on the African continent. Even when we have the population, we have the investment opportunities, we have projects that are fundable, but because capital is key, it became very, very dear for all African nations to now set up their own rating agency, because the rating agency set up by the West does not favor Africa. Most of the time you find investment in Africa suffering because of access to capital. And capital is key in any investment drive that can happen on the African continent. And I think this is a major agenda for the General Assembly of the African Union, and we hope that we'll see that through. And when that happens, it's going to be a radical shift in terms of capital pullout for investments on the African continent that will in turn drive prosperity and development for the African countries.
So in all of these, Nigeria, led by President Bola Tinubu, will have a major role to play in deciding on this agenda, and particularly the elections of the leaders for the African Union Summit and other issues to be decided on coming up tomorrow.
Thank you, Ms. Bao, for that update.